Check, 1, 2. Good. Sure.
Hey fellas, Frank has got a tweet out saying go to the women's game Sunday, then come see me on Green Street Monday for a special gift for our NRT game Monday night. $100, $100 to the first person who replies that tweet with instead of face.
You learn from Spurry,
Body armor.
$100 for everybody.
I thought my joke was bad earlier, Dave.
Man.
I woke up at I woke up this morning.
Oh, actually, yeah, the Sunday game is 3:30. And I think the Sunday game is 3:30. Seven and nine.
At least they give you a pat on the Yeah, no, I'm not done yet.
You're gonna get Dan to that room.
I'm on 11, so I mean, I'm on the break.
Hey, I've got a warning posted. You can only have beer or wine outside in the street. Liquor's prohibited. You lose your ticket. I'm like, I would take it, just don't let me pour it out. You gotta get rid of that. No problem.
Which is exactly what will happen.
That's what I did for Halloween. Yeah.
I watched the burger episode. Not the white people. Oh, God. But it's about somebody from South Carolina.
All right, everybody, welcome to practice day 2, session number 2. For those of you that have just joined us, please silence your phones. Raise your hands if you've got a question, and we'll bring you the mic. And please state your name and affiliation. The South Carolina locker room is now open for 30 minutes. We'll begin with an opening statement from Coach, followed by questions for the student athletes, and finally questions for the coach. With that, we're joined by head coach Dawn Staley and student athletes Khadijah Sessions and Asia Wilson. Coach, an opening statement on tomorrow's game, please.
Let's play.
All right, questions for the student athletes.
Oh, Dave.
Wow, caught off guard.
Dave. Oh,
Well, I guess
Dave.
I got like
Question in
here
the back on TV.
Here in the back. Although I'm not Dave, but going into tomorrow's game, what do you think is the key going up against Kansas State's intensity and how hard they play as you guys look to advance to the Sweet 16?
They're a very good basketball team. They play well together. They look for each other well. They have a really good post player inside. We got to make sure we contain her. They got a very good point guard that really leads this team, and we just got to make sure we contain a big two and play Gamecocks basketball, do what we do, execute the game plan, and don't do anything extra.
Question in the center.
Two questions. Khadijah, when you guys play teams that aren't used to this environment, can you see it in their eyes? I mean, can you tell there's an adjustment period they have to go through to get used to what it's like out there with 10,000 people?
You definitely can tell with the guard and the point guard because they can't really hear the plays and the other people on the court are trying to hear what they're trying to say while our crowd is getting pumped up. I think they have to adjust to our crowd. We have to adjust to our crowd sometimes too because we can't hear our play calls neither. So we just are more we just like we see it every night. They don't see it every night.
And has the realization sunk in at all that tomorrow's the last game for this senior class at home?
We actually just talked about this in the locker room. It's like a sad and exciting feeling at the same time, but we just want to go out, especially with a win. That's what we're focused on.
Question up front on the right.
AJ, you've obviously gone up against other big girls before throughout the SEC. What kind of challenge is Brianna Lewis?
Wait, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You've gone against other big girls in the SEC.
Yeah.
What kind of challenge is Brianna Lewis for K-State?
I mean, she's just gonna bring size. I mean, we see it. Well, coming off of Jacksonville game, we didn't really see a lot of size, so I feel like we have to readjust and get used to kind of thinking back to SEC play. But really, we're just gonna have to just stick with what we do best. If that's the high low, go with the high low. But really, just stay together and just dominate whenever chance we get.
Any other questions for the student athletes?
Or
Thank you,
Eli.
ladies.
Go Eli.
Questions for Coach Staley? Up front.
Donna, the Naismith list came out yesterday. Tiff and Aja are two of the 4 finalists. Just how proud are you of both of them? And just specifically for Aja, do you kind of see her becoming the new face of women's basketball with the other 3 being seniors?
Just extremely proud of both of our student athletes who have done some incredible things individually, and they've helped our elevate the state of our program at different stages. Tiffany was one that jumped out there and committed to us very early on in the recruiting process, and she got this program jump started. And then Aja Wilson, I think Tiff is passing the baton, so to speak, to her. And, although, we work with Aja Wilson every day, and we do see some holes in her game. But by far, there's not very many, if any, other players in this country that can do the things that Aja Wilson does. As she continues to grow in this game, why not? Why not Aja Wilson being, the person and player that people talk about when they talk about women's basketball?
On the left.
Coach Mitty said just a little while earlier that he hadn't totally figured out how he plans to attack you, but what are you expecting from Kansas State in this game?
Probably anticipating them playing a whole lot of zone. Maybe not as spread out as they've played it, maybe more packed in. Forcing us to shoot from the outside. If they saw how we shot last night, they'll probably be more willing to give up those outside shots versus, the presence of our post play.
On the right.
Dawn, you mentioned some holes in Aja's game. Just what would they be to work on over the next couple of years?
Well, I'd like for her to, stretch the floor out a little bit more and add a 3-point shot to her game. I won't talk about defense right now because she can throw, being the SEC Defensive Player in the Year in my face. But she's got to get better on that side of the ball, just being aware of, what's happening out there on the floor. Once she gets that down, and she's working at it, she'll become more complete. Obviously, she gets the physical aspect of it. People will come at her in that way, and she's learning to play through some of that. This year versus last year.
Question in the middle.
Don, the last couple of years, we've talked about the size edge you guys have a lot of times in things. But, we probably all know a bunch of 6'3" or a couple of 6'3", 6'2" people who couldn't walk across the floor without tripping or falling down. There's something else that goes with Aja and Elena about their ability to kind of be that tall and be that skilled. Do we overlook that kind of skill part for them when it comes to just kind of lumping them into the idea that they're, just tall and instead of being skilled and tall?
Yeah, I think when a program like South Carolina kind of just comes on the scene, I think it takes people back to see, what they're really about. And I think probably the first thing people look at is, they look at it more critical. How can this happen? and they're not ready to, don those two as, two of the top players in the country. Because they play with each other, it kind of, they lump them in together. And if you look at them individually, there are things that Elena Coates does that no one else in the country does. There are things that Asia Wilson does that no one else does in the country. And the fact that they are here playing, with and alongside of each other, it kind of takes them back. The athleticism of Elena Coates is quite incredible. The growth and the maturity that's taken place, incredible. And we've only seen Asia Wilson for 2 years now, and the leap in her game from year 1 to year 2 is incredible. So we get excited about what both of them will bring to the table. What Elena's last year, well, finishing this year out, and then Asia coming to her own in her junior year, which that's when it all starts to click in.
On the back left TV.
Don, we might have seen the effect of this yesterday in the first quarter, but I'm wondering if it's been at all difficult for the players to go almost 2 weeks off and then all of a sudden jump into this, tournament setting where you only have 1 day off in between games?
I mean, it's not difficult, but it's what it's been, for the last 5 years. We've had this break, and we always seem to get off to slower starts. I wish we could, play a little bit quicker. Maybe we need to do something defensively that will allow us to get off to a quicker start, because we adjusted after halftime of last night's game, just to kind of, play a little bit of different, defense where we're trapping a little bit more, moving around a little bit more. We have to get off to better starts, especially as you get deep into the tournament. You're going to see, teams that are, ready to rock and roll, and we have to be ready to do the same and meeting their energy.
Question in the back right on camera.
Coach, you heard Khadijah talk about a little bit going to her final game here at Colonial Life Arena. How do you manage those emotions? You had to do it last year in this tournament setting. How do you get them not to focus so much on just soaking in the moment, knowing this is the last time they'll get dressed in the locker room and play here, and more just focus on what they need to do for 40 minutes to execute and come out with a victory?
You don't address it. I'm not addressing it. It's not something that I think about, and it's until it's brought up in this setting. There's a lot of basketball left, and I don't want to. I want to enjoy the journey, but I don't want the journey to stop because this is the last time around for them. If so, we don't want it all to end at this place. So we just keep it moving, and we keep them focused on the task at hand. And right now is, it's Kansas State, and they'll be focused for it. They'll, in the back of their minds, be thinking about, not playing in this arena before. But we'll bring them back, and we'll celebrate the things that they've done. Hopefully we'll bring them back in a capacity that, probably only us think we can do, which is win a national championship.
Question up front.
Same question I asked Khadijah. Can you see it in opponents' eyes when this environment gets to teams that aren't used to playing in it? And does like Khadijah mentioned, does the noise ever make it difficult for you guys to communicate?
Well, it depends if I have my glasses on, because I suffer from the fuzzy 40s. So I really can't distinguish what's going on people's faces. But it is an intimidation factor when you come in here. No other program across the country can, the opponents. You get a big game here or there, but every opponent that's coming here, has to face over 10,000 fans. It does have to, I don't know if it's intimidation factor, but, it's a disruption. And Khadijah said it's a disruption for us because it took us, a while for us to adjust to playing in front of a crowd. The excitement of it, you tend to want to do things that, in your mind you can do, but in the moment it doesn't cause for that. So, it's incredible what Gamecock Nation has done for our program. It is, well known across the country, the type of basketball and the type of show that Colonial Life Arena puts on with our fans.
Left side.
Staying with that same question, Coach Mitty said that what impressed him the most is how knowledgeable the fans were. From your vantage point, how nice is it to hear opposing coaches thinking that view?
Well, I mean, if you follow us around on Twitter or social media, our fans know what's happening out there. They know the landscape of women's basketball, and that's when you know. Of course, they absolutely love our team and supporting our team, but they know what good basketball looks like and sounds like and feels like, and they do have an appreciation for that. Just not against us.
Question is middle.
A follow-up to your comment earlier about the slow starts. We saw those in the tournament last year. I mean, is there something about the NCAA tournament environment that just makes it difficult to get off to a faster start, or is it something that's just germane to this event?
Well, I mean, we've had slower starts, throughout the entire season at times. So it's, I think we're staying in character when it comes to that, and maybe we need to, inject something and something different. Maybe it's just, like putting on an old shoe. Maybe we need to throw some wrinkles out there to speed up the game a little bit, because with a team like Jacksonville and a team like, Kansas State now, they probably want to more take the air out of the ball and play half court and, take possessions away from us. And we need more possessions. The more possessions we have, the better, with the talent that's on our team, the better off we'll be.
Any last questions for Coach Staley? No. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
South Carolina locker room is open until 2 o'clock. Thank you.